Hey guys, this is the Movie Idea Show where I present original movie plots, storylines, screenplays, and so on. Today I have 3 movie plots I am going to copyright or share copyrighted stories I've written. Here I have printed here story 1. A non-violent criminal who dies in prison is honored by starting a movement to have all non-violent criminals released from prison, and if not, after they died, to be cloned so their bodies can be reanimated and so forth, be free to move on with their lives and never have to face unlawful detention again. The movie starts off as non-violent criminals who died in prisons are cloned after political and religious leaders agree to work for redemption from all of the lost souls they oppressed. So, of course, the prison system has kept a lot of non-violent criminals, or so-called criminals, in lockdown for several years. A lot of these prisoners died, of course. And so a lot of religious organizations and government agencies decide to work together to pull the resources, especially science equipment, to clone these prisoners who have passed away. The clones are programmed and manipulated by wicked bioengineers who are using the clones to rule and ruin the world of natural-born humans. So the human race has been genetically manipulated, or I should say they're basically molested by bioengineers who are trying to manipulate the DNA of the entire world's human population. Basically, they're like mutants. They're being tested on like mutants. One of these clones is awakened by a wise and loving scientist who teaches this one clone, the one who started the movement to have clones made in place of the lost souls, people who died in prison under fiat crimes that forced them to be convicted in court. But anyway, this scientist wakes up this clone and teaches it the way of the free world. In this way, keeping it from being enslaved and corrupted by that actually cares about its soul. And the scientist wants to help the world rid itself of genetically modified food, genetically modified DNA. She's a scientist that really cares about the humans and the victims of cloning experiments. She's definitely against all the bioengineers who are trying to destroy natural-born human DNA. This scientist explains to this clone how the bioengineers are trying to corrupt the world and attempt to turn people into beasts and hybrids based on man-made abominations in a worldwide slave system. So these bioengineers are obsessed with turning humans into the ancient creatures that are mentioned in scriptures. The Aramaic scriptures, for example, have a lot of mention animals and mutants that were giants. And if you go on google.com or bing.com or even duckduckgo.com, you'll find a lot of search results for ancient giants. And so this movie is going to touch upon the topic of ancient giants and cloning technology that would help a lot of these giants exist. This movie plot is based on a lot of true events that happened in ancient history. There was experimentation done on humans. There's a lot of artifacts that show there were an ancient race of giants, and this movie is going to portray giants, and I think it'd be a very entertaining movie. This movie is owned by me, and I'd really love for actors who are interested in being in a science fiction movie to join facebook.com/Memes-Syphrett. acting lessons, and you can audition and prepare or show their abilities to act in a professional movie. This would be an exciting movie project to work with very talented actors. And I will also include acting lessons for anyone interested in being a part of the movie business I'm starting. Go to facebook.com/movie business as well if you want more updates about the story. It's kind of a rough draft, so I'm definitely going to add a lot more details to this plot to make it a little bit more understanding and more entertaining. I think it'd be very interesting to anyone who's interested in ancient history or even mutants in general. Story two. Story two here is starts off as a family of sacred law observant researchers and archaeologists working for an occultist empire. They discover a giant which has been dead since it drowned in the great flood of ancient times. Now, a lot of people have probably seen videos of the great flood, Noah, also known as Noah. Anyway, if you do enough research, you'll find that there was a great flood in ancient times, and it did wipe off most of the human race except for Noah and his family. Now, if you're interested in scriptures, you'll definitely probably want to listen to this this movie plot. The rest of this movie plot basically goes into detail about again, giants and hybrids. So on with the story. So since this occult society discover a giant which has been dead since it drowned in the great flood, the remains of this giant are cloned by kings who stole parts of the giant's bones, which the occult society idolized. So this is a example of things that did happen in ancient times. There were people that worshipped giants and worshipped abominations, people that were mutated, and of course there's people that even worshipped wood and metal statues. So it's not hard to believe someone worshiping a giant creature, whether it be a man or woman or even a hybrid animal and human. But on with the story. The clone grows into a giant tyrant, outsmarts the kings, betrays them, and demands its followers to help conquer land and mankind. The kings unite with the family that originally found the giant's remains and mummified body. They are hunted by the clone giant and its genetically modified soldiers. So this giant tyrant learned how to genetically modify human DNA, and it made his own army of mutants. I mean, these are going to look like very grotesque human/animal hybrids, and it's very possible that a creature like this would exist on this planet. There's a lot of history about hybrids that have been made in science laboratories. Of course, that's unlawful, but yet there's a lot of organizations that do clone and manipulate DNA to make abominable creatures. So on to the rest of the story. I have they are hunted by the clone, and the genetically modified soldiers, which were made by the giant tyrant, are going after these kings and the family that discovered the clone giant's original DNA. The kings teach the family, which they reunited with, how to clone another giant. So these kings reunited with the researchers that were into sacred law, and they decide to clone another giant to go up against this giant tyrant that they made mistakenly, not knowing that the giant would grow and outsmart them and basically take over their empires. So instead of cloning the giant, the family that kept the sacred laws of the planet summoned the soul of the original giant man. And it repossesses its body. So they summon the soul of the original owner of this body, and they get this body reanimated. They use these high-tech equipment to make all the parts fit back together, and they're able to get this giant back up on its feet and its heart beating. Of course, this is sci-fi. It's I can't show any examples from history where people summon a spirit back into its original body. But this would make an exciting movie, especially people that are interested in not reincarnation per se, but just DNA memory. I think a lot of people don't know that our DNA memory goes back thousands of years. That's how scientists are able to find out that our ancestors were two people, man and woman from the Middle East, Adam and Kawa. So if you read scriptures, you'll definitely find things that relate to the stories I'm telling you. A lot of my movie plots are based on ideas that I got from scriptures. The body is restored, this giant body, the original body of this giant, and the giant man defends them from the tyrannical clone who tries to become immortal and multiply its followers. So there's going to be a giant man battle. The original giant is going to face off against this genetically modified abominable man. It's going to be a great movie. I think a lot of people want to see giant men fighting each other. They want to see mutants going after each other, and I think it'd be a great action movie, and it'd have many science fiction elements that would be impossible to avoid if you're into movies at all. So story 3, and this one's great. This one has the ability to be adapted into a comic book even. This one is a story of a woman scientist who is working on nanotechnology in an underground facility. This facility is where she discovered a plant-based cure for diseased planets. At this time, in this proverbial time of the planet, the planet's actually aging. This is the first time ever people have noticed the Earth gradually changing and breaking apart as if it's an old organism, which it is. And I think it'd be very interesting to see several planets just falling apart because they weren't being taken care of by people who inhabited them. I think this is a great motivational story to make people want to help the planet from being polluted or being more polluted than it already is. And so this scientist really cares about the planet. She's trying her best to invent things that can help restore the planet's strength. So I go on with the story here. During the time of this discovery, her world is suffering from the side effects of genetically modified junk food, mutated plants that are possessed by a legion of intelligent parasites who are invading the entire world government along with the worldwide science community. So this is a scenario where even the parasites are being genetically modified, and they're not only outgrowing natural-born parasites, but they're becoming intelligent, more even so intelligent that they're battling men's intellects. This is a very interesting science movie plot, because there's never been a movie where parasites are not only intelligent but also taking over the minds of plants, animals, and mankind, and trying to control the whole planet. Parasites, of course, are a part of every natural disease known to man. Parasites are the cause of so many diseases that if you were to get an anti-parasite medicine, you could prevent yourself from getting any disease that's natural. Of course, there's diseases like Morgellons that are made with nanotechnology, you're going to need a little bit more than just a general anti-parasite medicine to get rid of Morgellons and other diseases that involve nanotechnology. But this scientist works with nanotechnology, and she's using nanotechnology for good. She wants to use this medicine, this cure, to get rid of the parasites, get rid of all of the destruction that's been caused by bioengineers and even the parasites. The parasites are trying to take over the whole world, and they're pretty much leading on to take over the whole science community and government, which is a huge feat. But with these parasites are so easy or they make it easy to enter into organisms. So the scientists and government operatives have really very little defenses against these parasites. The parasites are so small they can just go right up your nose and just mess up your junk. Anyway, on with the story here. We have the rest of this plot during the time. Okay, the modified junk food. Yep. And invading the plants, of course. All right, when these parasitic plants sense a pure-blooded man and woman, they attack the human bodies and basically invade their brains to prevent the humans from ever fixing the planet or curing anyone who has been corrupted by the parasite world government. So the parasites have taken over the world government by the time this woman scientist has invented this cure. So she's just in time to stop this domination of parasitic government operatives and mutant plants. She has a lot ahead of her, and she's going to have to learn to fight hard and get rid of evil as we know it. The woman scientist uses her anti-parasitic plant cure and customizable nanotechnology to fight the corrupted souls, parasitic plants, intelligent parasites, and 3D printed diseases. This is a great addition to the movie here. 3D printed diseases. There's never been a movie where diseases are 3D printed, yet in real life, diseases can be 3D printed. In fact, there are a lot of nanotechnology related diseases like Morgellons, which I mentioned before, which have been multiplied. And I mean, just think how easy it would be to 3D print a diseased body and just start spreading a ridiculous amount of bad bacteria and parasitic diseases all over a nation. I mean, this movie touches upon the urgency that we do fight against parasites, because parasites are a horrible element of life, and it's best to get rid of parasites in your body and other people's bodies as long as we live. I mean, parasites are a huge a problem for every living organism that wants to be healthy. So on with the story, they have these parasites are trying to get rid of anyone who's capable of building a defense against them. So they're eventually going to go after this woman scientist who is trying to purify the planet as well as cure her neighbors, and basically she's trying to save the world from being sick and crumbling along with this aging planet. They need the cure to get rid of pure-blooded humans and animals. They need the cure they need the cure taken away from this woman scientist so she can't help people become pure-blooded. These parasites are desperate to take over all of the remedies that people have been using to keep themselves from becoming as sick as the world government and science community basically became once the parasites invaded their properties. So this cure has the ability to get rid of tyranny and reconquer the planet before it's too late to fix it for good. So these parasites are trying to prevent this woman scientist from reaching her community of pure-blooded humans and spreading this cure onto other nations. And it's going to be a very exciting journey to see this woman scientist trying to help the world from being completely dominated by parasites. Everyone, look up parasites. I can prove that these are all original movie plots and movie that could also be adapted into comic books. I'd love to hear what you all want to see in the movie theaters, and also I'd love for people to audition to be in my movies. I appreciate all the people that watch the show and the other shows on the Internet Memes channel. Thank you so much for watching this show. I know I kind of stumbled along, but all of these stories are in a rough draft condition. Thank you so much. Have a great week and many more. This is Chad, the Living Memes-Syphrett. Appreciate all ya.